Okay, we'd like to say welcome again to another edition of the program, The Bottom Line. This is a program
The
that brings
bottom
you
line.
information about Liberia and
The bottom line.
about Liberians. We discuss the issues, we give our views and analysis. We may not be right and we are not wrong either. Tonight we have with us a house full of panelists. Um, I will start with our guests first, and our guests that are described as tough talking. I thought I could talk, but I think he and I have to compete. But I'll give him this one. He's tough talking. Councillor Isaac Jackson, former maritime boss. That's the not the commissioner of maritime, but Liberia's permanent representative to the IMO, that's the International Maritime Organizations, based in the United Kingdom. So, Councillor Jackson is going to be with us briefly, and we'll be discussing a wide range of issues. And the panelists include Paul Delors Chiruple, Mark Farr, and Jamal Kamara, including myself, and we are on Red Power FM in Monrovia. And my name is Linford Goel. Gentlemen, without any delay, because time is not our friend here, so we'll go into the program. We'll welcome everybody, and we just want to start because we understand the councillor is on heels. He's moving, so we cannot waste his time. Councillor will say welcome to you. And do you have any greeting word for Liberians?
Oh, absolutely. Let me thank you. Absolutely for having me. I want to extend hearty greetings to all Liberians, friends of Liberia that are following the program. I'm happy to be here. I think you guys have been doing very, very, very well to provide, unvarnished, untarnished, truthful information to our people. So I like to applaud you for the level of work you do to truthfully inform our people. This morning I was on a radio talk show and I told Liberian people that public discourse is not served when people market delivery falsehood and lies. Public discourse is served when people market truthful information. That's why journalism is about what? Truth telling. So I thank you for the work you do and continue to do for Liberian people to inform Liberians across the globe. Thank you very much.
Okay. Quickly, Paul, Mark, here is the councillor. He closely watched the just ended CPP naming of its first tenor bearer. The councillor is available to you guys. You can ask him questions about that program as you wish.
Well, good evening to our listening audience. Good evening to our guests here, Asi Jackson, and also good evening to Mose in the studio. Mr. Jackson, welcome back to Bottomland. It's good having you the second time.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. The last time I appeared on Bottom Line, I was in Liberia. Now I'm in the US. So it's good to be back on Bottom Line.
It's good to be back. Mr. Jackson, I know you're a strong Liberty partisan and strong CPP supporter. This gone weekend, the standard bearer of the CPP chose a running mate.
Mhm.
And this have brought a lot of dimension to the political discourse in Liberia. And I think the momentum is now sweeping towards the CPP. How was the weekend? What your take on the whole thing, the program, the picking on the VP, and who is this woman? You want to talk to her briefly about her?
Yes, before I delve into the question, let me provide this clarity because there are those who will be listening and some of them may want to be pedantic. So I think it's important to provide this clarity. I am not a counselor at law. I'm really an attorney at law.
Thank
That
you for the
means I have not
clarification.
gone to the Supreme Court. So, I'd like to state that. But I mean, for the purposes of the conversation, it will matter little to me if you just call me Isaac Jackson or Bojack. I mean, that's my pet name. People call me Bojack or Isaac Jackson. It matter little. So that we can go ahead. So
Okay.
yes, I followed the program in the Southern Post City of Buchanan. And I think the program was well organized and it went well. Many of these political rallies in Liberia, when they are held, the aftermath sometimes can be that people will complain, oh, the people brought all here, they not give us money, oh. Oh, the people, those people who brought me here, they not do they want. They say they were going to give us 20, they not give you. You did not hear anything of that nature. So it shows the level of organization that went into that. They say the first step the baby takes, or a child that will grow into a full man and be a serviceable to a family, you will see it the first day it comes also, right? So, or the first step a chick take will be the most impressive one, right? A chick that will grow into a cook, you will see him from the first day. That the CPP will grow into or will provide better leadership for Liberia. That was what you saw on display. They organized a rally, it went well, nobody came from that rally complaining. Importantly, Mr. Alexander Cummings, whose integrity is beyond question, went there and picked a dear sister, Charlene Bronsky. As you may well know, one of the challenges confronting Liberia today is to find somebody in Liberia whose character has no tarnishes or no blemishes. Cummings' character has no tarnishes. Sister Charlie character has no blemishes. These people are people in good standing. They have their integrity intact. Charlie will inspire the youthful generation of Liberia because she's a young professional woman and she will inspire even the women across the country. The decision to pick her is in keeping with even the electoral law of Liberia that talks about 30% of our women empowerment in our national politics. You know, the women have been for a long time in Liberian politics and history being relegated to the back benches. It was Maranseli who even made intentional effort that elevated women to the front row. This aphorism that I used to say, behind every successful man is a woman. Maranseli said, no, it's not behind, it's beside. So beside every successful man, there got to be a decent, empowering woman. So Charlene, our dear sister, brings a lot to the table. She inspires confidence in that particular group of people, the women of our country. So that decision was in line with the electoral law, and it shows that Mr. Cummings is a person who is keen on detail. You know, those of us who are men and in politics, we have to always find clever way to have our women engrafted in our national politics. That's why today I applaud that decision. I'm standing with that decision and encouraging Liberians from all walks of life to stand with that decision because it is a decision that will serve Liberia in its totality.
Right, Mr. Jackson, thank you. Can I follow up few things? After the pick of Charlene, Prince Johnson was at his church on Sunday, going after the SB and the VSB. And this, I don't know what your take on it, because it seems to us now that Prince Johnson becomes the one to dictate things in Liberia. I want your view on his where he went after these people,
You
abusing
know,
them. See, yeah.
bro, the Prince Johnson posture is a confirmation that former Vice President Joseph Newman Boakai, now presidential contender, has not made a sound judgment in leadership because nobody of any modicum of diplomatic, astuteness or a diplomatic sensibility will take Prince Johnson's godson
Thank
or
you.
Prince Johnson stood or Prince Johnson protege Jeremiah Kun to be a vice presidential candidate. The fact that Mr. Boaka told Prince Johnson's protege to be a vice presidential candidate, that's why you hear Prince Johnson speaking now and is even serving as an unofficial spokesperson for the Unity Party. It's a crying shame because Prince Johnson is a man who has a deep, dark stain on our country's democracy and the country itself, owing to the fact that Prince Johnson committed some of the worst atrocities in the history of that country. The grotesque trauma that Prince Johnson visited upon Liberia, he's yet to account for it. Thousands of innocent people were murdered by Prince Johnson. Today, their blood cry to heaven for justice. And Mr. Boaka will have the unbridled audacity to take that man, God's son, and put him on the ticket. That's why you hear him talking. And that's why even the international community has declined and sprung that ticket. The international community will not support the Boaka's ticket. They will not be comfortable with that ticket because Prince Johnson is supposed to answer for the torture and the murder he carried out in our country. So that he will be criticizing somebody. If Prince Johnson criticizes you, bro, you got to dance. He should not come near you. I mean, you and he not in the same league. No decent person should even accept praises or acknowledgement from Prince Johnson. He's a dangerous man. That man belongs behind bars. He should not be in civilized society and saying anything. And recently, he was, the U.S. government imposed sanctions on him. Why they imposed sanctions on him? They said that man here who's supposed to be repentant, who's supposed to try to make up for, the crimes he committed against Liberia, he continued to dally in that, getting involved with pay to play, continue to tarnish, and sort the democratic culture in Liberia. So the American imposed sanctions on him. They said nobody should make business with him. But Boaka again breathed life into a Prince Johnson who was choking on the U.S. sanction. That's why today you hear him talk the way he talk. So any Liberian person who loves Liberia should be aware that if Brother Boaka, God forbid, were he to win, that Prince Johnson you will be dealing with. Because Jeremiah Kun, who is a protege of Prince Johnson, who also has been criticized and accused for engaging in cannibalistic activity. When we talk about cannibalistic activity, it's a demonic activity wherein people murder small children and extract their body part and sell it for money. That is the accusation that Jeremiah Kun labors on in Nimba County. That's the kind of people that Mr. Boaka decided to associate with. Kun himself has been accused by Centaur, an accountability institution in Liberia, for taking $1 million to his church, to his clinic in Nimba, under controversial circumstances. So Kun is inherently corrupt. So how can Boaka say he will want to clean Liberia of corruption and his vice president is having to deal with serious corruption allegations as per the accountability institution in Liberia? So, brother, we have to deal with the discourse. This is the tragedy of the decision of Mr. Joseph Boaka. That's why we got to deal with Prince Johnson. But I condemn Prince Johnson in the strongest term for the unprovoked attack on the character of Mr. Alexander B. Cummins and our dear sister Charlene Bronsky.
Okay, Councillor, let me just come in quickly. Oh, not Councillor Anthony. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You come from Basel. You are a Basel citizen, if I may summarize. And I think you should be aware of the politics, how it plays in Grand Basel County. Mm-hmm. The name Charles Walker Bronsky will still exist, even though the personality behind that name is no more. But that name will still exist. And there is somebody walking in the shadow of Councillor Bronsky. Now, this ticket, how do you think the Basel people, I'm not talking about people in Grand Basel, but Basel people as a whole, or Liberia, how do you think they will welcome this ticket? What do they see? Do they see a reincarnation of Charles Bronsky in this ticket?
Oh, yeah, obviously, brother. Let me say this. I mean, if you listen to my melody, if you hear my melody, you know indeed that I come from Bassa. My melody is quick on blow. And many times people when I go to Bassa land, they say, yeah, you're living up to your knee.
Quick
You know.
combo. Yeah.
But I say this to you, you're right. Councillor Charles Bronskin's daughter is the real genuine Bosede. If you look at the word Bosede, what it means. Because this is the late councillor who father, Charlie's grandfather, is respected. And maybe since he passed, we can say was respected in Bassoland for being what? Gaenyo Kuikponyo. So Charles, family, the Bronskin family, have been serviceable to people of the Bassa speaking belt. This was a man who every poor person will rush through when they have been taken advantage of. Animo Bronskin, that's Charles' grandfather. That is the man legacy upon which Councillor Bronskin himself stood. So they have a long history of being loyal. All right. So that loyalty in your family. That Charlie grandfather went to court for poor Bassa people who could not afford money back in the days when the oligarchy in Liberia was at its heart. Somebody wants to say, oh, she Congo woman, she not able to speak Bassa. All the Congo people were not wicked. Let us do and talk so. Some of the Congo people identify with poor people. Animo Bronskin did that. Yes, he was a lawyer, not for the Lanco company that was making plenty of money. He was a lawyer for poor people. That's why when his children go to like Bassa, and his grandchildren go there, Bassa people embrace them. All right, brother? So that cheap politics that some people want to play, oh, I come again, she can't speak Bassa, brother. She's not going to govern in Bassa. When we go to the United Nations General Assembly, we don't speak Bassa there. We speak Queen's language, English, good English. You understand it? Yeah. When she becomes vice president, she will be vice president for the entire country. Liberia should place a decreased importance on political tribalism. What language the other person speak? Oh, they don't matter that the team Ome Boaka people can do. Boaka is a tribal bigger. For him, everything from Lofa Soro to be good. It's a bad thing. Liberia has seen the disastrous consequences when political tribalism is at its peak. We saw that in those Liberia. We can't go for it this time around. So, brother, Charlie, she's going to serve well. She will walk in the footsteps of her father. Her father's legacy and vision was to build a new Liberia under the rule of law. The last time I had to answer the question, the person posed the question and just posed it with my sister Nyomli Kanga. And my intelligent answer was, look, Nyomli is not on any ticket. Like first say, Nyomli Kanga is a prominent need. Kanga is a prominent need too. I mean, he established a church. He used to be collecting offering tasks and things there, and he built a big hall for himself. But the Bronskin family, they were there for poor people. They stood up for them. They were loyal. Kangana on ticket, the person who owned the ticket, a national figure on the ticket, who is from the Bassa belt, that Charlie Bronskin, her grandfather was respected for being poor people loyal. I think the entire Bassa belt will stand with that ticket. Even with the support from our brother, they will all help. Baron Brown is there. So the entire Bassa belt there, down the chair, everybody working with Charlie. So it's not just Charlie. Yes, Charlie is the symbol. But you see the Bassa belt standing out and saying, Liberia deserves better leadership. We need people with integrity to serve this country. People who have no tarnishes, no corruption cloud hanging over them to serve this country. So that's where we are. And I am hopeful. And I think Liberians should be hopeful. And Liberians should stand up in readiness to support the ticket.
Brother Mark?
Thank you, my dear brother. I do agree with you on a lot of things you said. For example, when it comes to the selection made by He went. They were rushing, looking at the tribal land that Nima County is next to Mosurado County, a rich vote. But they forgot to know that Nima County has a lot of tribes. You got the Mandingo, which is the third largest tribe there, and then two when it comes to, for example, this nonsensical behavior of, okay, Charlene can speak Bassa, so that means she's a Congo woman. There are a lot of Liberian, indigenous Liberian are born that can't even say hello, say in their own native
Right.
vernacular here.
Yeah.
There many, my brother. I left Liberia for how long, and I still try to say hello in few, tongues back home. But anyway, Councilor Jackson, it's a pleasure having you here. Looking at what has, been happening in Liberia since the Civil War plus the interim government time, then you come to the Unity Party government time. And Liberian people expectations are high for every new government that comes to power. How you think Mr. Cummins's government with the Mr. Cummins and Charlene Bronskin leadership, what you think Liberian people, what the expectation is of the Liberian people and how you think they're going to move the country forward?
Yeah, that's a very brilliant question. Before I go to the question, you said something which I think I will pick up upon, and I think I said it in my article, because I did an article entitled "Looking Under the Bonnet of Bwaka's Decision." In that article, I argue that, look, the Bwaka people made mistake in their calculation. They got deceived by this overly marketers version that, oh, Nima is vote rich. But if you pick a coon, do you know what you're doing? When you pick coon, who is a protege of Prince Johnson, and Prince Johnson murdered the former president Doe on camera.
Yeah.
Do you know that the whole Grand Jide
Thank you.
will stand up against that ticket?
Thank you.
In recent times, the people of Grand Jide erected a monument in honor of Doe. What message you think they were sending? The people of Grand Jide voted for President Weah 85%, I believe, by Mr. Bwaka selecting Prince Johnson protege. They were this time around vote 100% or 99.9%. Because Prince Johnson protege is an intimidation. It resurrects the ugly ghost of the past. Besides that, the Nima that is so miscalculated. Tiawan Gonglo comes from Nima. He's a presidential candidate. It is believed that the people will vote more for a presidential candidate than a vice presidential candidate. And Tiawan Gonglo too is a reputable and tiring lawyer. So to go to Nima and take a vice presidential pick is a problem. And even to take a Prince Johnson protege, the Mandingo people who got issue with land, they are also intimidated. They will not vote for that ticket. So all around, it was just a terrible, terrible decision, a poor decision, which confirms that Mr. Bwaka is not a good leader. Because good leadership will make a good and sound decision. You understand it? That being said, we come to the question you were trying to put forward. You know, brother, where we are as a people, Liberians can expect better from the Cummins Bronskin team, in that Mr. Cummins has expressed not just locally, internationally. Mr. Cummins was in Nairobi, Kenya, one of the best East African countries.
Yeah.
And said on Capital One, it's one of the biggest platform in Nairobi, Kenya, that when he becomes president, his first priority will be to put Liberians back to work. Today, one of the major challenges in our country is a challenge of poverty. How can we fight poverty? We fight poverty when we get to work. They say income is the basic measure of progress. Even though I got a law degree later on, my first degree is in economics and political science. Income, if you are not working for money to take care of your family, how do you make progress? You got to work for money and get money in your pocket before you buy a house, before you pay her, or before you rent house. So Kumi say, when I get elected, the first thing I will do, I will work around the clock to put Liberians back to work. And considering that I come from the private sector, creating job will be my priority because I know how to do it. In the private sector, brother, people don't see if you work in America and other places, brother. Private sector people work. Most of the millionaires that run this America, England, wherever, they in private sector, they don't get money from government. So Kumi is saying, I will create a strong private sector. So Ono Kumi says a leadership, we're looking forward with hope to a vibrant private sector, to a vibrant country where job opportunity will be available. Under the Kumi leadership, Kumi has also said the supremacy of the rule of law will be sine qua non in my administration. There will be no bishop. No bishop. You steal, I will throw the book at you. You take advantage of poor people, we will throw the book at you. This is Kumi speaking. And you say, ask me, Mr. Jackson, why do I believe him? Believe him because he get integrity. He will not say one thing and do different things. He has worked in the United States. That has been his training and his orientation. That's what he brings to public office. So we can bet on him. So, brother, this is what we can look forward to as Liberians. A new Liberia, where
Okay,
it will not be about bishop, where government will
Brother
work
Jackson.
for
Thanks a
everybody.
lot.
Where government will work for everybody. Public service will be available to everybody. The government will not build road going only to influential minister house. Like way CDC people doing now. All the major road, they go to the other person, they go to the other person. The road will go to places where we derive major economic benefit. That's what Kumi is saying. A people-centered government. That's what our Liberian can look forward to.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Jackson. You just mentioned about how they call the private sector.
Yes,
And
sir.
talking about the private sector, one of the largest groups in the private sector are those with retailing.
Mhm.
And for example, the marketers, stores owners, shops owners, and these places are dominated or being taken over by immigrants. For example, the Lebanese, the Fula, and etc. And Liberian, you got maybe 2% of Liberian or 1 point something percentage of Liberian that I mean, presently in that area. So, what do you think the government can do to educate Liberian about, investing in the retailing business, for example, like those that import container and have stores in the country? How the government going to encourage Liberian? Because there was a video put, I shared a video by a mother from Liberia that talk about Liberian being lazy. I don't know if you have seen that video before. That video is a video to watch, okay? Liberian being lazy, that a fuller man will come from Guinea with nothing, wearing past slipper, but at the end of the day, you go look, that fuller man got stole or he got shot. And then turn around, Liberian man selling for fuller man. I'm not trying to be, how they call it,
No, I got the point you're
divisive.
making. I
Yeah.
got the point you're making. I got the point you're making.
Lebanese men will come from Lebanon. All the things that are imported in Liberia, those things, the only thing you find from Lebanon will be maybe that and how they call it, say something like cashew nut. They don't make those things in Lebanon. They are imported from, uh, for example, Philippines, Indonesia, China, Thailand, Malaysia. So, what approach you think a communist government will take to encourage Liberians to educate Liberians, because that is one of the areas that government can collect more revenue. So what do you think? What do you think the government of Comis and Charlene going to do to encourage Liberians to get into the retailing business?
No, brother, that's a very brilliant question. You know, my first endorsement of Council of Bronsky was on the basis of the question you asked and his approach that he thought you were taking, which I show Kumi and Bronsky's the other week we carry. If you go to Liberia today and you pick up our labor law, it was Bronsky who developed the labor law of Liberia. And he in that place, he earmark and underscore certain businesses that Liberians should get involved with. It was a way of empowering Liberians. You know, regrettably, when CDC they came, they just talk rhetoric. Oh, Liberians will no longer be spectators in their economy. Today, Liberians are more than spectators. So Mr. Cumming has said that when he take over, there will be first a training opportunity to give Liberian the orientation that when you are an earnest business person, people will deal with you. The other thing will be to empower Liberian businesses. You know, how do we give them microcredit loan? These are things that Mr. Cumming has been thinking about, which he said he will do. We had this under the Selly administration, they had a one-stop shop at the Ministry of Commerce for Liberia to make it easier for more Liberian people to get in business. You go there, you register your business just in a daytime. I don't know how effective that is working now. But we need to do more of that, create flexibility for people who want to go into business and give them a start-up fund so that they will be able to manage it. And if they don't manage it, there'll be consequences. You know, in our country, and that one word Mr. Cummings has used repeatedly, there will be consequences. There will be consequences. So when somebody does wrong thing and they are punished, the other people who will be looking there will not want to repeat it. So if, for example, you were to take a microcredit loan from any of the agency of the government who will be carrying that SSR out, or even if they put it in the hands of a private person, and you are not faithful to return the people money, there are people today in the country, one of the major problems, even the American ambassador near our capital talk about it. People go to LBDI Bank, big government officials. Go to LBDI Bank, take loan with no desire to pay the loan back. So they were almost trying to break the bank down. The U.S. ambassador got to say, no, this is not correct. So, but we have to make sure that these Liberian people that we empower through the micro loan credit scheme, that they will be able to pay back. Because when you pay back, then we extend and spread that money over to other Liberians to empower them. This is the way I think we should approach it. You train them, you get them the orientation, that when you do well, we reward you. But if you are lazy and you don't do well, we will not reward you. Nobody should cast expressions and say, oh, that brain people lazy. One of the reasons why we deal with some of these food guys, they appear to be earnest. So we have to encourage our people that earnestly pay, even in business, that keeping your voice pay, you know, respecting time. You business woman, you want to see the whole day, you can. Making business is demanding. You got to wake up soon in the morning and go to the place. So these are the small training opportunities, orientation that we have to give our people, and then we got to give them the empowerment. Try them. Most of the contract today, they give it to Lebanese people. They won't do that. They want Lebanese. You go there, Lebanese. We can't continue to do that. So, but this is why I will say to Liberia, and this is why Mr. Cumming will definitely get involved with.
Okay, Brother Jackson, gentlemen, please. Yeah, let me just ask my third question because Mr. Jackson had to run then when it comes to you guys.
I got to run there and start discussing behind my back. But I will keep the phone on while in the car.
But looking at what has happened for the past couple of decades when it comes to our export, right? Mm-hmm. And investors in Liberia, like Lamco and the iron ore and the rubber. For example, Firestone take the raw material and carry it to another country and produce tire. Instead of processing the rubber in Liberia and produce tire, which could create decent job for our people and good wages. You understand? So that's one of my questions. How Mr. Cummings is going to approach Firestone for them to stop this behavior and open a tire production in Liberia. And then two, when it comes to one of our main export, which is the iron ore by foreign investor coming in the country, like what Lamco Yekepat, I asked this question to a few of our guests. Now, by right, Liberia is supposed to be, because before we were one of the highest exporter, the first on the continent by right, that started exporting iron ore since 1950. And up to today, we don't even have a steel production in Liberia. So all these people coming to Liberia now, like ArcelorMittal, different, how they call this, a mining company. How you think Mr. Cummings going to approach the issue so that we get steel production in Liberia, even for our own, how they call it, a construction,
Construction, yeah.
okay, for our own construction, because looking at Liberia, we don't have a capital. I'm going to say this on 1,000 occasions. So, for example, if the government decided that, okay, if our legislature agree with whatsoever going on, because we have this bad behavior in Liberia. Anybody come to power, you want to do your own thing and forget about the previous government project that they were on. So how you think Mr. Cummings is going to approach these people that come to Liberia to harvest our iron ore, to tell them, say, hey, you have to open a steel factory here so that we can have access, our people want to build, for example. How do you think Mr. Cummings is going to approach that?
You know, bro, I just talked about how Mr. Cummings' first priority upon being elected president will be to create jobs. And I said we can trust him for that because this is one of the things Mr. Cummings will definitely do. He is a skill, and I use the other word, adroit negotiator. This man has been on the board of several major corporations. He knows how to work the ballroom. So to do these things, you have to be a skillful negotiator. And I think the first skill he brings is to negotiate. So if there are contractors coming in, concessions coming in, Mr. Cummings will sit with them on the table and say, Liberia interest rates. How can we add value to our raw material by producing some of it here? He will have to skillfully negotiate together. And you can trust him, he will be able to do that effectively. He will be able to do that. So the way to go is to negotiate with these people and tell them why you need value added. Why you need, but even you're talking about it, even the bigger thing you're talking about. But even the local things we do. How do our quesao? We got a lot of quesao in the place. How do we even add value to our quesao? You grow quesao. Quesao, you can do too many things with quesao. You can do deeper, you can do gari. How do we transfer all those things? So that even the people in Nema, they eat more deeper and quesao. Basa land, we eat and the same thing. People producing gari in Keba, the fufu. How do we add value to these things? So that they will even go to our supermarkets. These are things that Mr. Cummings will engage in, so you will attract industry. And when you attract industry, when you negotiate these things properly and they start producing in there, then you provide job opportunity for your people. So Mr. Cummings will do that, and you can trust him because he has the skill to negotiate. He be in the ballroom and he can work. He can work in a ballroom and persuade and convince people why they should engage in value-added activity in Liberia.
Great. I think we need a transition because as just don't have
Yeah, but we passed the mark already, so
so
we got to start rolling.
if you can take another 5 minutes. So
Yeah, definitely, I can do it and just run.
yeah, so Linfa, I know you want to come in quickly with
Yeah, we've been, Mr. Jackson, we've been hearing something. This one is private, personal. You can decide to answer or not. But we've been hearing something from that transpired between you and Stanton Witherspoon. We heard his side of the accusation, and you also, defended your side. But not everybody had the opportunity to listen to you and also to him. Some people got it through the window. So you care to just elaborate, because the fellow said that he gave you money, and if he did give you money, what happened? How did he give you the money? What was it a credit, or did you beg him for it, or what happened? Tell the Liberian people.
Brother, it's unfortunate that our polity, the national polity, has descended to its lowest nada. We have reached a place where it is now hard time that we have to deal with some of these gullible liars. I arrived in the United States on July 27, 2021. When I've come with my family of 5 to settle in the US. And you know, every time you settling in a new country, you will definitely reach out to people and say, look, you got me, you show me the way. So when I came, I developed a generic text message, which I sent to few Liberians who I believe at the time were in good standing. And the text message was, gentlemen, I've just arrived in the United States. I am reaching out for professional hookups. Professional hookup means if you know somebody who is a lawyer like myself, they got law friend, hook me up with them. I'm looking for professional hookup. And additionally, I would appreciate any assistance rendered in helping me and my family settle in the US. Those were the exact chain message I developed and sent to few friends, including Witherspoon. I sent that message to another guy called Russell. Russell was serving then as a council member of the Brooklyn Park. Russell even ran to be city mayor in Brooklyn Park. When Russell received the message, he got back to me. So I said, I know of an opening in the Solicitor General office. Even introduced me to Stafford in that place and had me apply for the job. Russell offered me right. Senator Watterson received that same message and he reached out and said, oh, my man, do you have Cash App? I want to send you something. I said, no. If you see the message he posted there, they're very clear. I said, no, I do not have Cash App. I've just come to the United States and don't have a bank account, so I don't have Cash App. He said, but do you know somebody who get Cash App? I said, yes, the person who I'm fetching with. I will ask him to see whether he gets Cash App. I asked the gentleman who I was stopping with whether he get Cash App. The gentleman said, yeah, I get Cash App. So I told the gentleman number and sent it to Mr. Witherspoon. Mr. Witherspoon then sent me 1,500 to the guy. We are talking about 2021, August 9. Long before Mr. Witherspoon got criminally indicted in 2023. Some people say, but Mr. Jackson, and Witherspoon wanted to make it look like he was under the criminal indictment when he sent me the money. Oh, you say I wrote, but I gave you money. You know, brother, you didn't give me money when you were under the criminal indictment. But again, like I said on the show, for people who can steal, especially a man who had the audacity to steal in America, where the system is rigid, to lie is a child's play for him. To lie is a child's play for him. He never gave me money when he was under the criminal indictment. Even while he was under the criminal indictment, I did not even reach out to him. I know better as a lawyer. I learned from what happened to Prince Andrew of the United Kingdom. Prince Andrew had a best friend called Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was accused by the United States government of being a notorious pedophile. While Jeffrey Epstein was under that indictment, Prince Andrew left from England. He said he came to visit a friend in America. He got in big problem. He said, but if this guy is on this level of indictment, how do you associate yourself with him? Prince Andrew said, oh, I'm sorry, it was an error of judgment. Hey, man, the late Queen Elizabeth II had to scrape him of his royal duties. So I know better than to associate with somebody who the United States government, the most powerful country on earth, is accusing of putting like American lives at risk. Mr. Witherspoon has been indicted
indeed,
by his peers.
Anthony Johnson, indeed, you did receive money. You did receive money from Witherspoon, but it was a good way gesture. Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely. And at the time, he was not on a criminal indictment, and I could not have known that he was engaged in criminal activities. You know, if you had to come across Mr. Witherspoon in 2021, see, that was the man's slogan, right? His slogan was, well, God can bless anyone. Now, somebody who got a slogan that God can bless anyone, what will come to your mind? You think that he living right in accordance with divine law. If the
Yeah.
people start talking God Bene, you can be of the mistaken belief that certain man talking God Bene, maybe he working in keeping with God, or he working in keeping with the American jurisprudence, because at that time he was not on a criminal indictment. So
Yep.
but people will say, oh, but why you took money for him? By the time I took the money for him, he was not on a criminal indictment. How could I have known in 2021 that in 2023 they may be indicted? I'm not a clairvoyant.
Mr.
The
Jackson,
other thing people say is, oh, but when you tell the man money, why are you not grateful? Brother,
Mr.
if
Mr.
somebody were
Jackson,
to if somebody were to steal money, or if somebody were to give you money, I gave an example on Facebook. I said, if your child were to give you money and you later discover that the money the child gave you were obtained fraudulently, will you be grateful for that money? No, you will chastise the child and say, but why did you have to steal? The fact that even though Mr. Waterspoon gave me 1,500 2021, I still have the courage, the moral high ground to look him in the face and say, stealing is bad. After Liberian will be clapping for me and say, this guy is morally upright. That he can stand there and say, my man, stealing bad. People, if somebody gave you 1,500, many people will say, oh, that man give me money, but let me just leave that man, yeah. Let me. If you do that, then you have a broken moral compass. That means you compromise. You
True.
can't condemn the man because he gave you stolen money before. That's not me. I say again, no decent woman will employ a man who engages in criminal activity to feed her. No decent woman will do that. No decent parent will appreciate or show gratitude to a son who engages in fraudulent activity to take care of them in their old age. It's against moral laws. The
Mr.
first thing your parents teach you at home is what? Please do not steal. Please do not lie. If you do these things in public, you will cast expression on our family. How should somebody say, oh, Justin, be grateful? Grateful for what? For somebody sharing stolen money to me? In fact, I feel very, very much let down that I have to associate with a guy who is not in good standing with the American law. I feel let down. That's why I have said in public that I'm going to return Mr. Witherspoon
I
1,500.
was just about to ask you that question.
I
If
will
you return the
return.
money,
I will return Mr. Witherspoon 1,500 because I do not want to do anything or have to do anything with a man who, is on a criminal indictment. If I had known, but I would not even go close to him. I don't want to be a benefactor of a man or benefit from the man tinted generosity or his filthy generosity. I can't in clear conscience continue to do that. So I'm going to return his money. The only thing I will not do, I will not send the money through cash app. Even if I have cash, I will not do it because the man, everything about him now, a bank account, with property, they are on what? Leon, Lien. Somebody else, FBI now, a seize of it, and they're looking at it. So I said to the public, I will send his money through either Western Union or RIA. So it allow him to go to that radius to get it. He will go and get it. I ain't going to get into any banking transaction with that man yet. Everything about that man now under surveillance. FBI scrutinizing. But why you saying money? Even though they following my
send the
conversation,
money 5 minutes, so you can't get it.
Mr. Jackson.
I was saying through Western Union. And now my business, the radio the gang can go to Western Union, he would deal with that. But I will send it through Western Union or RIA and post it and do my public broadcast.
So, Mr. Jackson, you
Yes,
said
sir.
$1,500, right?
Yes, sir.
But the man said, and I can quote him, that he bought your ticket from England to the US. So how can this be 1,500 when you travel with 5 of your family, the children 5 and your wife? So it is that 1,500 that did all this? Can you
Brother,
clarify to our listening audience?
brother, Waterspoon is an empty-headed con artist. He's not smart to laugh properly. When I was in London, I didn't even know Waterspoon. When I was in London, in fact, the first person to do the broadcast, the first person I interacted was a guy called Sekou Kane. I didn't get to know Sekou Kane because it was my wife who even put me in contact with Sekou Kane. I was basically working on my case against the Liberian government. I was not on Facebook doing it. The other interview I did was with Henry Costa. I
Yeah,
didn't know
I listened to it.
Witherspoon while I was in London. I never knew Witherspoon while I was in London. So he could not have sent me money in London. A Witherspoon ever really sent me money in London. And it's a huge money that I had to pay plane ticket and bring it. You try to find evidence you're going to put us out? It's a man had evidence that he sent me money in London. He able to put 1,500 and I receive us out. But he not able to put 3,000 or 4,000 to pay 5 people ticket to come to America. He ain't able to do it. That man is a notorious liar. He's an egregious liar. He's a bad-faced liar. And so he's a congenital liar. This man will go to that jailhouse and rot inside. I am convinced that the accusation or the indictment against the man, he really did sell fake certificate to unqualified people to work on American people. And because anybody who can lie like this got no fear for God. When you lie and the lie is so provable and obvious. Why you send me money in London to pay my way? Rubbish. A Witherspoon ever send me money to London? Because 1,500 can pay 5 people fly to come from London. It will be more. And he has sent more than that. You think you will get evidence to show today? You want to show it? That man is a bad-faced, blatant liar. That's why I said this morning on one of the talk shows that based on the indictment against this man, he should not be broadcasting in Liberia. Because what he continued to do is to pollute public discourse with lies. Public discourse is not said when people try to market deliberate falsehood and lies. Public discourse is said when people talk truth. So Mr. Witherspoon, right now in America, Mr. Witherspoon cannot speak on his own. A lawyer can talk for him.
We are hearing the music. Also, do not play music, please. Okay, from my side, it's finished. But
the music is very loud. So, gentlemen, the music is very loud.
Moses, please do not play music. Okay. Like I was saying, from my side, it's actually finished, but I just want to squeeze in one quick question.
Yeah. So yes.
He's lying. He's lying on you that he gave you money to pay away from London. Are you going to? If he return his 1,500, are you going to pursue a case against him for lying on you?
I was telling that one, but brother, that man, who already going down. Well, I want to waste my energy on him, man. You know,
that's why.
Anybody who has a functioning brain cell will know that the man lie. My man, if the man get evidence, if you get evidence that 1,500, that 1,500 not been keeping me all in America. I've been in America for 2 years running now. I in an apartment, a 3-bedroom apartment, I pay 1,600 plus every month. That send on Witherspoon 1,500. You think I really need or living on here? I mean, this man is just a shameless guy. He's not a professional person. He's a snowflake. The parents call it snowflake, right? He's a weakling. He's like a banana and a potato in human form. He can't stand the weight of criticism. He will use that a ratting spoon to smear decent people. When you go there and challenge him, then you get into the up bus. One of the things I just realized Mr. Witherspoon have been doing is to buy influence. So when he see influential Liberian come to America, he start giving them some of his stolen money in the hope that when they catch him, you will not be able to be brave to challenge him. That's how he been doing, buying influence. I never knew that he was such a dodgy character. If I knew, I would never have even spoken to him. He just let them go clear to go near him. It's a shame.
Like a man once said.
Mark, 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead, Paul. You go ahead, Paul. You go ahead.
You're going to run, but to my surprise, the government of Liberia said the mayor came into your defense to talk good thing about you about this case. I just want you to listen, just better a minute.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Okay, listen to this.
Every day I talk about America, try it on any other person, a simple person. This man is unfit to hold a passport. You have a senator consciously saying, because this man is going after action. No, Senator Dion, you lack the word waiter and the intellectual understanding to confront action. And you want to find a refuge, a man that have no soul. And you say you go on a platform and you think, No, don't get me wrong. The former deputy minister is not a friend of mine. We do not believe in political philosophy at the same time. But I want to salute his courage to sit on a platform. This man was quoting one of our towering intellectual Burma formula, who said clearly, a man who killed and murdered to lie is a child play. And the man tried to minimize and say for you, even though but there's no need to minimize the man action. It's an upward of killing. He kept
like
this man sat down and told the public that I call the station manager, I challenge him to show call record. He yet to talk about it. That man said they started recording all my points. No, I'm ready to talk about when you are coming official.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Jackson, so it's funny though, the government of Liberia said the mayor is defending you on this.
I mean, sometimes God works in a mysterious way, brother. The thing is, but even though we all belong to different political parties, but when you see truth, you can identify with truth. And, brother, and this is where I have a small mixed feeling, right? Liberian people, they say they want courageous people, but when you exude courage, and they say, oh, but why you do that? To go to Waterspoon show, sit on his show, and the courage to call him out on his show. Anybody with good intelligence will say, yes, this guy got backbone. But somebody say, oh, but why you go challenge the man on his own show? So I say, oh, the man uses that show every day to smear people, to lie on people. Where should we challenge him? We'll go to the house to challenge him there. Whether FBI agent passing all around the house. We gotta go on the show, that medium there, and challenge him on his medium. That's what I did, and I'm glad that the mayor of Monrovia recognizes that strength of character. I'm happy that he recognizes that. That's what I've always been, brother. I will tell you the truth to your face, no matter who you are. I don't worship wealth, so 1,500 will not buy my conscience. I will not be grateful to somebody who be engaging in criminal activity because they gave me 1,500. Rubbish.
My dear brother Jackson. I mean, you have spoken on few.
Gentlemen, I sort of be at work 3 o'clock. From here to my office, I have about 20 minutes.
Just the last.
Gentlemen, how many people give me letter?
You have spoken on few. I mean, stations about this. I mean, how they call it, a nefarious fellow who tried to influence our politics, and I want to congratulate you for that, for having the courage, because some people, they would have put their tail between their legs. But like a man said, a thief who goes to university, he only go to a university to become a better thief. So Stanton Waterspoon being a crook in Liberia, a child who went to America just to become a better thief. So let me ask you my question. My question here is that, looking at Liberia, do you think we can, the next government need to introduce the decentralization to empower states to collect their own revenue, like a real estate tax, that instead of this nonsensical policy that we have, what they call county development fund stuff? Because for me, I believe that it makes the lawmaker, the governors in this county, to be lazy. But don't you think it's time that the next government decentralize the system, give these governors or whosoever state official to be able to generate, to give them power? How do you think that's going to come about? And do you think it's going to benefit the Liberian people in general? That's my question.
Definitely. I mean, I'll just wrap the question very fast because I'm going to be maybe 20-25 minutes late today. But please yes, do. You criticize the kind of development funding is regularly so, but the kind of development funding was the initial first step towards decentralization. Except that it being
Anthony, I mean, my dear brother Jackson,
it's just that. Yeah, no, I'm coming there. It's
Yeah.
just that it's been a little bit abused, right? But it was the first
Okay.
step to decentralization. That look, when we gave you the kind of development fund, you always sit down and decide what development project you want to undertake in the county. So that what central
Okay.
government thought to do that. But it got abused. You got, I mean, the country has a problem with, corruption all over the place. But yes, decentralization is pivotal. And I think Mr. Kumi has been talking about that. We're going to basically empower the Ministry of Internal Affairs to help to speed up the decentralization process, because when I was in government, it was the Ministry of Internal Affairs who were leading on that. But again, tonight, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for having me. I know when I leave, you will have more a fire rate discussion. In my absence, I will be listening while I'm driving to work. I am now 20 minutes. I live 20 minutes, 25 minutes away. I don't know what the traffic will look like. It's now 3 o'clock. You have been there at 3. So
I
I
mean, it's
thank
a
you.
pleasure.
I hope
It's
next
a
time,
pleasure.
I'll be available to have more conversation with you guys. And you have a
We, go-
wonderful,
we
wonderful day. Thank you.
it's a
Thank you.
pleasure, my dear brother Jackson.
Thank you.
You have a
Thank you.
blessed, evening on your end. Day on your end. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, gentlemen, I think this is a powerful RC Jackson, the all spoken RC Jackson. It was good having him here. As always, when he come on the show, he's always firing. So, Linford, Mark, this
Yeah.
is the conversation. I mean, he
Yeah.
cleared the air of the situation between he and Standard Waterspoon. He also talked about Charlene. And so, as we go, wow, another what 30 more minutes. So we can look at Linford, if you have the letter that the CPP wrote about Prince Johnson when he went to his church to talk all of those nonsense about Cummings and Charlene. Do you have that letter on hand? There's some.
I had it somewhere, but
uh,
I'm not sure if I can locate it right now. And
Uh,
you know,
right.
for me, it would be a waste of time to even read the entire content of
yeah,
that. I
man.
read it,
No,
but
you know
for me to
what I
read,
brought that on the
yeah,
end of
Yeah.
that letter. There's something that Mr. Cummings said in that letter, the CPP, that when they come to power, the legislature, if they don't pass a law to bring war and economic crown code, he will use his executive power
of course,
that the war and economic crown code will come to Liberia. And when Mr.
Uh,
Cummings says something, he means it. That's why I went into that little bit of that
yeah,
letter.
that part is at the end. But let me tell you one
Yeah.
thing. There is
One.
no doubt about um, the war and economic crime could coming to Liberia. The only problem is people who should have implemented it in the past have been dragging their feet. Prince Johnson for himself has always said he's willing. Okay, so I don't think there is anybody in the way of this thing. But there's this parable about the gorilla or the snake. It's possible to circumcise a gorilla. Gorilla is very strong, or snake. You can circumcise a snake, but who's going to hold the head? So the thing is, if the bringing of the war and economic crime code was in the purview of ordinary citizens like me, like you, we could go and bring it. But it has to be done through the system, through the government. And those people who have been in government since the TRC did its work, they have not made any effort for some reason better known to themselves. And so this is where we find ourselves. But if Mr. Cummings or any government that says they will bring it and they are serious about it, then it will come. I heard Prince Johnson on many occasions, he said, "Oh, people threatening me, I'm ready to go for the war economic crime scope." So then I have not heard somebody who said, "Well, if you bring war economic crime code, I'll fight or I will run away." Or everybody's willing. So I think
So,
it's just
so
a willpower to do it.
Linford is true. Everyone is waiting. They all say that they are waiting, but then they were in a house to implement. They don't want to do it. So, Mr. Cummings is now saying,
Yeah, but
if I
that's when the
get there,
executive order comes in. Let me
I
tell you
will
one thing.
give
The Liberian
executive order to
presidency
have it.
is endowed.
Yeah.
The Liberian presidency is endowed with that power. First, you don't just give executive order. You allow or you don't override. You allow the other branch of government, okay, which is the first branch of government, to go through it. You give them the option. If they cannot, then you take executive action.
Yeah, but
And,
that's what the letter
example
said.
of
That's
that
what.
is
Yeah.
executive action is like, declaring state of emergency. Okay, you don't have to wait for this the house the both houses to approve it. If somebody attacks Liberia and it's a grave attack and you got to respond, you declare state of emergency right away.
So I wanted Mark to look at this thing because he's saying that the horse, if they don't pass it, that's when he comes out and give that executive order. I
Yeah,
mean, he's serious about it.
it's actually going to be anyway. We're talking here, how do you call this? We are all kind of guessing how it's going to be, right? But actually, it's going to be done. I mean, we're talking informally, but it's going to be done formally in the sense that Mr. Cummings going to send whatsoever request to the lawmaker, most especially the speaker at that time, that this need to happen. And if the speaker put it before the House of Representatives, from there it has to go to the Senate for approval. And if both houses, one agree and one opposes, or the both houses disagree, the president is still entitled to using his executive order. And how to call it? There's a term the president has, but I forgot about it. I don't know
Veto.
whether in Liberia veto exactly. So the president can veto it, and I don't know the Liberian constitution. I've forgotten. President, I think the president is entitled to full veto, so he can use one of that veto when that happens. But I believe Mr. Cummings, as a negotiator, he's going to do it formally. But the problem with this thing now is that the infrastructure, because this thing of taking a short, I mean, how to call it, the Rwanda Palaba horse structure, something, or the South Africa, we need infrastructure. Some of these people, for example, many of Prince Johnson who causing noise. Prince Johnson killed innocent people for their girlfriends for mulatto woman business. Yeah, this man killed people in the corner in West Point, in Lockington, in Newcastle. This same Prince Johnson man, you understand, killed people for looting. Why are you killing somebody for looting when you yourself you are looter? Everything that you are having, the base that you're on, you loot people. That's looting. Okay, that's indirect. But I don't want to pay more attention to Prince Johnson. Something I wanted us to talk about. I mean, take a few minutes to talk about some of the things that Isaac Jackson was. I mean, he was answering, and which uh, admire Isaac Jackson for the breakdown of how Mr. Cummings is going to approach issue if they take over, because there are a lot of challenges in Liberia actually. Yeah, that the government with the first 90 days or the first year of the 6th year, that Liberian people they will be expecting a lot from the government. So, and as it did well by answering the question how Mr. Cummings is going to approach it, because actually we need investors, and then to the local retailers, okay, those people that contribute a lot to the economy. And when you look at Liberia, you guys been to Liberia, who dominating our economy? Are the fuller people, the immigrants? So how do you encourage Liberia into that particular area? Like Isaac Jackson said, is by the macro loan. The macro loan, then you have to create a system to educate the people so that, for example, someone is selling, that person maybe should make a daily deposit to the bank, and you understand. Through that, you educate the person about saving at the same time and how their profit going to grow. So by doing that too, then the bank will be, well, okay, this man, he's how they call it, a good customer, and he deposit after selling. So if he want more money, give him more money. And then too, like they say export, I mean the import these Fuller and Lebanese doing, you need to the labor, I mean, how do you call it? Ministry of Commerce, right? The Commerce Ministry need to set up an education system that people can be certificated. For example, how people can do input into the country like the Lebanese are doing. Like they got contact with people in Pakistan, they got contact with people in India, they got contact with people in China, they got contact with people in Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, where things are produced. Even we here in Europe, everything we use here coming from that particular part of the world. Okay, but our people, how to encourage our people into that area so that our economy, for example, when the Fulani people, Lebanese people, they leave, like the American dollar that disappeared on the Liberian market, right? When the US government got ready to cripple the Liberian market, they took all the US away. But those did a smart thing by printing Liberian, how they call it, $5 coins, from the $5 coins to the labor to the JJ Rawa. Okay, so that's the same thing Liberian need to uh, the new government need to, how they call it, introduce in the country, the commerce ministry, open some kind of an educational system that to invest the macro loan to people, but first they got to go through some kind of 6 month educational training and be certificated.
Okay. Thank you. Jamal, welcome.
Thank you very
Mark
much.
is
You hear me?
frozen. Yeah. Increase your volume small. Welcome.
Thank you. I think that's how far I can go. Is that still you're not hearing me?
We're hearing you.
That we hear you, so you guys can come in.
Okay. If you allow me, I would just want to speak lightly about a bit about what Mark has just said concerned about the retail market, the retail economy of Liberia, which is the private economy. You know, basically what is happening, if you listen to past government, from the Turbo government up to Doe, to the Erling Johnson government, if you listen to them keenly, all the past leadership been speaking about, empowering our people business-wise to macroeconomy. I think they've done it. I remember once the former president of the chairman, I think the president of the central bank, who was the head of the party called Movie. I think someone should remind me of his name. They were
Mel Jones.
Mil Jones, $5 million Liberian dollars was put into the market, was kind of intended for Liberians to use as a static seed capital to start businesses. I think what I believe that we have the system in there, but it's just like whether to guide the system to succeed. That's the question. We have the entrepreneurship program in Liberia. We need to put a structure in place where they can guide our people to benefit from these programs. It's not about we don't have it, we have it. It's been there. All the governments that come to power, they know that Liberians need to develop the local economy through these entrepreneurship, through the macro loans. But then if these loans are being given out, are they being followed? Are being read, the debts being collected? That's the area we have. So if these processes are in place and not being followed properly, then we have an issue. An issue of liberalization. There are some businesses in Liberia Liberians should be doing these businesses. That those things are on paper. I think under Samuel Doe government, there were certain businesses in Liberia. Only Liberians were allowed to do it. If you come from outside, you can only partner with Liberia to do it, to go into the business in Liberia. Sometimes these things are not being practiced. I think those were the issues. There are some issues that what we're saying about macro loans or all this stuff, they're all in place. They've been written. They're all in black and white. While governments are not enforcing these laws and these regulations to make our people benefit from it. I think what we're looking for is to have a structure and guide these structures to succeed. And that way we will get it done. With regard to the how we can develop our local economy in Liberia, I think whatever Mr. Kumis can come up with the fund programs, and if he put a minister in charge and the minister is not implementing it, then we have an issue because Mil Jones was at the central bank and he was giving $5 million. And that $5 million, I don't know how he disbursed that $5 million. Up to now, we did not those money were not recovered. So that's the issue, and a lot of issues happening. In the recent time, another $25 million was disbursed into the to clean up the mutilated funds money at the under the we are government. Up to now, we don't know the way about those money. So it's a system that's killing us. Those things are there already, but we don't care to make sure it works. So we need to enforce those things it work. If it doesn't work, those who respond should go to jail or should be held responsible for it.
Okay.
Jamal, Paul, please, just a few seconds on what Jamal is saying. Everything he's saying is in place, for example, right? But one of the main problem is having the drives to make sure that these things happen. Okay, the drives. That's one of the main problems of Liberian leadership, having a drive, even from the president. You can get the vision, you get the idea, you get this and that, but if you don't have the drive to implement these things to to the final stage, then that's where the problem is. And until our leaders can have the drive for whatsoever, I mean, innovative idea they have, we ain't solving any problem soon, anytime soon. Yeah, Paul, you can go ahead, brother.
I mean that's good. So in the near future we might have Mr. Cummings here himself, so you can throw all of those questions to him. This is the bottom line, and we're also on Twitter, we're on Instagram. There's an online radio as well. We're on Red Power FM. For some reason, they, we just lost connection with them. So, Linford, having heard the brothers about the economic situation in Liberia, we are now we have what barely 4 months to go for the election in Liberia. And we all aware of what has happened in Grand Bassa County lately. The momentum now is kind of going towards the CPP. Before, every time you hear, oh, Unity Party is resolved. But it seems to me now that momentum is going towards the CPP. And I just want you guys, from what you saw on the weekend, to just chime in. 2 minutes
Right?
each, guys. Yeah.
You meant Liberty Party, but not Unity Party.
I mean, Unity Party, the momentum were on
Okay.
their side, yeah, but now it gone towards the what? The CPP. And everything now is the CPP, the most talk about CPP. And on the
I,
Yeah.
flip side, we keep hearing
I,
about the
I,
Unity
I think
Party, the Prince Johnson element, I think is killing them. So I just want you guys to chime in this from the
Yeah.
weekend.
I want to say that, I mean, Prince Johnson, looking at Boakale, what Isaiah said, and I've said it before, they make a big mistake by running ahead of Mr. Cummings, because I want to believe, right? I don't know, but I just want to believe that they were thinking that Mr. Cummings, because looking at Nima County being a rich vote, so Mr. Cummings was going to go to Nima ahead of them. So instead of that, they went ahead, and you understand, and they had this conversation with Prince Johnson. You know, Prince Johnson trapped Baka because the noise that started coming up, people started suspecting after the conversation. Then Prince Johnson, a day ahead or a week ahead of the program, Prince Johnson went and announced before Barker. So that was the military strategy that Prince Johnson used. A lot of people are not educated to that. So Umar Barker was trapped within that. When the noise started coming up, he can change his mind because Prince Johnson had already went ahead and announced the candidate. And looking at, I mean, Nimba, for me, I don't believe how they call it, said that Nima having a rich vote, Nima having a rich vote when you look at the tribes that are in Nima. And then two, the CCP ANC Liberty Party. They, you know, Mr. Cummings. If people been following Mr. Cummings, this man, he's very strategic and he on point every time he does something. He don't just make decision. Mr. Cummings is a negotiator, a good communicator. And if you've been following Mr. Cummings, I was following, watching SKTV. Then Steve talked about Mr. Cummings coming on time. Paul, my schedule I got, I always to work sometimes 1 hour before the time. I'm telling you, if you come to the street here, you go to my workplace, sometimes I'm at work, sometimes almost 2 hours before the time. And this Mr. Cummings, every time he has a meeting, he's there before even the people that he having a meeting with. So
Right.
that's a good thing for Liberia. Yeah. And for the CPP, I can tell you that because a lot of people, if you listen to the callers on SKTV, there are a lot of people that now that are crossing over from what happened in Grand Bassa County. And that also sent fear to the current CDC. And then to looking at there, just to end and let my brother then come in, looking at CDC rival with Unity Party, CDC will not let a Unity Party government. So that's another thing Unity Party has to deal with. CDC would prefer the CPP led coalition with ANC and Liberty Party. So
Great.
guys can
So,
take over.
Linford, you have covered election before in Liberia, and I know that you have seen similar thing like this. The opposition, I mean, you covered the Charles Taylor election, so you might have an insight when the momentum is on your side. You talk to us on this. How you looking at it from the outside point of view and see what is happening. Months ago, every time people call on a radio station or they carry the fake polling on Facebook, you hear, oh, UP, CDC. But after the pick of Jeremiah Cohn, something dramatically have happened here when Mr. Cummings paid Charlene. These are two people with clean record coming into government. And it seems to most Liberian now, they're not part of that clique that, oh, people who have served, who have, I mean, robbed the system before. So what your take on this, the picking of Charlene, and how you see it going forward for the next 4 months or 3 months to go?
Your question is so impregnated that I don't know where to start. But I will start from the top to the bottom if I remember everything. Now you talk about my experience in current election. Yes, that's true. And there were two different scenarios. To be frank, in the 1997 elections, as we all know, Liberia had just come from war, and there was this euphoria that the war could come back again if people would not elect Mr. Taylor, and most people, out of fear, they would have rather supported Mr. Taylor to become president, because in any case, that was one of the main purpose of the war, to remove this tyrannical regime and then replace it with another regime. Now, so everywhere I went, I was assigned with a lady whose name I will not call, on the campaign trail as a journalist. And we had part of Magui County, part of Nima County, and Rivers. And so we visited those counties. And everywhere we went, one thing I experienced was that the real interior voters, their minds were made up. Because for another reason, I would try to explain is that during that time, not most of the political leaders or candidates that were in the race had gone up country because of the war. We have just come from war, and some of them were still afraid to go to Greater Liberia, as it used to be called. So the only candidate that people knew was Taylor. So they would always say, oh, if you go to the pastor people say, oh, Gazanzan, meaning the bread man. You go to the pellet people play, oh, Nalon Kokule. Okay. As for Nima Kante, the people knew him. So, and Taylor made it his business to almost visit almost every part of the place, or even if he didn't go there, he had people there. So, the 1997 election was quite a different incident. It was, like, in my own view, it was one-sided for the fact that half of the country, apart from Monroe and its environs, half of the country was 80% of the country was only on Taylor's side. So it was a landslide for him. Now, comparing it to what we're witnessing now, you have political leaders that are crisscrossing, like Councillor Tiawan Gonglo. He's been to 103 towns in Liberia in different counties. Mr. Cummings has made similar visits to almost all of the counties. President Weah is incumbent and he's been traveling. In fact, he's planning another county tour. I know all of the other political leaders will be making county tours as well. So, what happened in Buchanan last Saturday, for me, is just a wake-up call, not only to the opposition, but also to the CPP. A wake-up call in the sense that look, you've been working, you've been going places, and people have been saying that nobody knows Cummings. This is a time for you to continue the momentum. But then the question is, can Mr. Cummings pull similar crowd in Sano County? Can Mr. Cummings pull similar crowd in Grandchildren and the rest of the counties? And the reason I'm asking that question, I want to make comparison or contrast, because the reason why that crowd came out is because a daughter of Grand Bassa County was selected as what running mate. So automatically, you will expect that that huge crowd will come. If Mr. Cummings had gone to Cape Mount and selected somebody from Cape Mount, that crowd will come. So I wouldn't just, take it for face value and say, okay, the momentum is. I will encourage the CPP to work hard, because the burden is now on the CPP to prove that it can really win this thing. So we shouldn't be complacent. I don't believe in complacency. If you are not fighting, if I knock you down, why the people say you knock a man, I move for no, I'll make sure I beat you on the other nose, get blood in your eye, get sorry, you can't get it again. So if the CPP will have to win this thing, I will encourage the CPP to do strong groundwork. If you listen to me, Paul, all of it. Huh? Did I hear somebody say something?
Flow, lane for flow.
Okay, so
Flow.
Paul, if you remember, Paul, I've always said this thing. I even made a recommendation to Mr. Cummings on one of the Zoom meetings we had, that the actual voters, from what I know about Liberian politics during my campaign trail, the actual voters are in the interior. The group you see in Monrovia, the floating population. Mr. Cummings will go here today, you see the same population. When you move from there, Vaga go there, the same group will come out, because they want to hear. So you'll be playing in that same group. But if you go in the interior side, where the people know you through their chiefs, my friend, you go up, you come down, they will always believe in what the chiefs say once you get the chiefs. So I've always said it, that the CPP needs to work in the lead war counties. Yes, you can work in Monrovia, everyone will get a piece of that cake. But where you want to get a good chunk will be in the interior side. So I will encourage the CPP and its auxiliaries to go straight up into business. From what we saw, that crowd we saw, meeting that crowd, go into the lead war counties, work, deal with the people on the ground. That's the only way you'll be able to grab the people. You can't, let me tell you, the people are different. These people are different. When they know you, they know you, they know you, they know you. So you got to give yourself to them. You go in the interior, when you grab one team, one town, that town is for you. So it was good that the crowd are in Buchanan, but I would want to see more of such crowd coming in other counties. And how do we do that? Is to work harder.
Thank you. We got 3 minutes left, and I want for Jamal to summarize the whole thing for the weekend, and also summarize Asa Jackson, our guest who have just left. Jamal?
Well, thank you very much, Paul. Basically,
Paul, can we say our final closing this thing about to go off?
Yeah, let Jamal flow, then we'll get one minute
Paul,
each.
Yeah.
Go on, Jamal.
Thank you very much, Paul.
Mark, you're breaking in. We can't hear you. So let Jamal flow.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul. With regard to Bassa, Buchanan was a great show.
I ain't got nothing doing.
We had a massive turnout in Buchanan. That shows a lot. I think one good thing in Buchanan was the picking. I think the history of Liberia, the youngest. I'm having the youngest VPs ever on a ticket in Liberia. I don't know of any in my lifespan. Somebody could correct me here.
How the internet operates.
So Mark, we can't hear you. You keep interrupting.
Okay, tell Mark to go mute, please. So that was, and like Linford have outlined here or highlighted, that we need, if CPP has to win that presidency. It's not only about Grand Bassa. They need to go across all the counties in Liberia to make sure they knock on every door to make sure that they get their attention and tell them, get the hearts and the minds of the voters. So definitely Grand Bassa is not the only county. Winning a massive show up doesn't show that they win the presidency, but it shows it was a making of history. Your youngest person on the ticket as a vice president in Liberia, that was a history. And not only that, it's like you ask Isaac Jackson regard to, is that a reincarnation of Councillor Charles Bromskin? Yes, it is. Because if you look at the history, they've been in the legal field and they've been helping the poor people. They've been like the layman, they call the layman lawyer, and they've been fighting for the grassroots up to the present. I think I remember saying once here that Councillor Bromskin, may so rest in peace, one of those Liberian lawyers that challenged the system. And I think his daughter is taking the trend. And we're seeing that coming up very loud and clear. We hope involvement in politics. I think this will be our first major move evolving into politics. You know, I remember some question or inability as a conventional politician to pull a crowd. And this is what she said in the speech. He said, no revolution was born out of perfect timing, or no history can be made at the bottom, but rather at the top. You know, those are the comments I like to quote unquote. This is what she said in answering that questions with the issue of she's so green or so naive to politics, and she can bring to the picture. I think we believe that she's competent enough, and she's a test of time for her. I know she's going to make her case, and she's going to, people that follow her, they'll be enjoying her career. She's been a very career lady in the legal field, and she's been making her case. From the youth side, I think we're going to win. Our CPP going to win a lot of vote on our end. And then when they go across, when they really play that game well, reaching out to a young generation that is out of like 60 to 70% of the voters in Liberia, I think there's a case will be made. With regard to our guest, Anthony Jackson, he made it clear. I know one thing I will talk from where he said about the issue of Charlie Bromskin analyzing Senator Johnson with regard to his recent jabs at the political leaders, more especially at the CPP leaders. You know, Niba has a serious issue. And I said it once here on this platform, Niba was the epicenter of the Civil War. And we're trying to reconcile with that. And they stay haunting us. And we still need a special reconciliation program in Liberia, which has not happened. And we have to go through a lot of things. We're in a leadership that could really reconcile us and make sure we put our past behind us, but it still becomes history. And the outline issues for Nimba County, we have our Councillor Gonglo coming from Nimba, and he's one of those one or two people respected, very well respected councillor for Nimba County. He comes from the hustle in Nimba that is well respected, and Nimba people are traditional people. And given that also takes a vote from the senator, and we also other ethnic groups like he mentioned, the Mano, the Giyo, and the Madingos. They are all good numbers of people in our county, and to get them across to come vote for a candidate, it's not an easy game. You have to reach out to them on a traditional level. So let's see what happens come October 10. But I can tell you, this is going to be quite different from the 2017 elections. Prince Johnson is not going to get the massive vote that he had in 2016. 2023 is going to be a different ball game altogether. If you I was just reading the news from New Dawn newspaper, the Democratic National Alliance, called DNA, just came to Nimba County, just named a running mate called one. What is the name again? Jonah Domo. He just named me as a running mate. That's also take another part out of Nimba. So he picked another native of Nimba to become his running mate. That's a new party that was registered at NEC, the election commission called Democratic National Alliance. So he picked another running mate for Nimba County. So they are inching bit by bit, taking vote out of Nimba, saying we call it a rich county, one of the rich counties in Liberia. So basically, that's how it looks like from the two ends from our guests with regard to how you see things. And also we gave in a room, Anthony Jackson, to clear the air on the issue of what happened between the beef between he had with the CEO of Spoon Television, and he was clearing the air, but we can't say much because we don't have Waterspoon to say side of the story. We just gave the platform to say what happened. I hope we got an opportunity to bring a Waterspoon where he will speak on issues that Honorable Isaac Jackson spoke about with regard to what transpired between them. This is how I would say I've analyzed the whole show from the guest and to the topic on the discussion today, which is CPP chance comes October 10, 2023. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Jamal. And Linford and Mark, we go well, we've gone 2 minutes above our 4 minutes above our time. So I'll love for you guys to give your closing statement, 1 minute each, and then we can close the show.
My only closing statement is the CPP should work hard and keep all the momentum.
Okay, Brother Mark,
Yeah, my closing statement is that you hear me?
loud.
Are you guys hearing me? Okay.
Yes.
My closing statement is that the Liberian people should, I mean, vote wisely and listen to what Mr. Cummings is saying. And the Liberian people all should develop this habit of the first 6 years you come in power, you don't do the people job, they should use the voting right to kick you out. The first 6 years they gave you, no government should be given the second chance. The man was there for the first 6 years, he didn't do nothing. Then you won't trust the person again for another more 6 years. What is wrong with you? Where is your brain? Are you Volkswagen? You're not Volkswagen. So that's my message to the Liberian people, and this is the new message I will be preaching. You try every government for 6 years, our government do well, kick them out. And you listen to Mr. Alexander's comments, and it's like let the old year give way to the new year, and let's see how the new year will be looking. The first 6 months, we'll know that the year will be good. So I thank the listeners, and we will continue to be here to spread the message of the CCP led by Mr. Cummings and Charlene Brunskin. And I thank my fellow panelists and Mr. Jackson for being here. A good evening.
Thank you. Jamal, any final parting comment?
I would like to say thank you very much for having me once again. We just want to apologize to those who follow us in Liberia because we have some break-in transmission from the Red Power FM station. I wish you should have a relay in Liberia. I think they have some technical issue. I also understand that they have it's a raining heavy cats and dogs in Liberia at the moment where there's lightning striking. So they may have some electrical issues. So that's the reason we're going to have them relinked to our program. But however, we'll do our best on before next Tuesday. We have the issue sorted, and we do apologize once again. We don't have a relay. Those who are following us in Liberia, they couldn't get us because we got cut off from the transmission. So, by any case, I would like to thank you guys for having a beautiful show. And I just come in late because I have to stay at the back to make sure some technical issues are sorted. Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Thanks. And to our listening audience, thanks you all for being here and for following us as well. You can always go back and follow this program. We on the bottom line, we have technical issue with Facebook. So starting from Friday, we might have that resolved. So that's why we're using one of our correspondent page today. So on that note, I'll say, guys, it was a great show. It was fascinating to have Axel Jackson here as usual. And we might be looking forward to another big name on Tuesday. So Friday we're on again, and we might have somebody on Friday as well, but we will share information as we go by. Election is just around the corner, and bottom line may be going 4-5 days a week as we get closer to the election. So on the note, because it's Charlene who been picked, I'm going to play her music and say good night to our audience.
AK on the beat.
Bora, eu ia te echar de uma radio.